Hey everybody, it's Dave, Blue Jacket 66, here for a quick video. Did a little driving yesterday, drove to Kansas City to see my mom. A lot of time to do some thinking, look at YouTube videos. Really nothing great out there, so made some calls, talked to some fellow YouTubers along the way, and it's a good time. But thought I'd make a video today. Again, I'm still at the rental here for a couple months till the house gets built in Florida. Then I'll gradually start moving some stuff down there. But very little here that I have. But I was looking through some things and found a card that kind of brought me on topic about early vintage gum cards, bubblegum gum related sports cards and sports cards memorabilia. We all kind of talk about it when it's the first pack you've opened. A lot of people like to say the first pack they open is when they start collecting. I've been a collector for 40 years because you open a pack of gum and whatever. But I do remember my first packs that I was opening that had gum. Now, I know I opened packs in 69 football, 69 baseball. My fondest memories of really buying a lot of product was in 1970. So I'll just say that as kind of my earliest memory, because those are not, hey, I did it. I really remember being in my driveway in 1970 and opening, I can envision, I can see it right now, opening packs of baseball and football in 1970 specifically. I really remember opening the 1970 Top Super, both the baseball and the football. Those were in a very large package, so it was really a dime too. I mean, a dime in 1970 when I went to the TG&Y dime store, I mean, candy was a penny. And they just had bins of it. They had cards, they had bubble gum and strips, those dots on, the whole 9 yards. So the Top Super were these two large, beautiful, glossy cardboard cards in a pack for a dime with gum. I really remember that. You've all heard me told I put most of my cards on the wall with a thumbtack. These I did not. I tried. Some of them I found that I still have the thumbtack, but most of them I didn't because they were thicker. And so you got a thumbtack through the thickness of that card, then into the wall. They tended not to stay. So my 70 and 71 Top Supers, I tended to not put on the wall. So gum in cards. So when did they start putting bubble gum or gum relation to cards? We know tobacco, we know candy cards, we know food and beverage issues, but what about gum? And you may say, well, those, early Bowmans and Topps issues had gum in them, and yes, they did. I mean, Topps initially didn't, but they got around to putting gum in them in 51. But let's go back a little earlier. Yes, there was that blank area and that boring area in the 40s and late 30s, but in the early 30s, there was, of course, the Gowdy Gum Company, and they had gum with their cards. So if you open a pack of cards, yes, gum. And same with the fantastic early 30s issues, the Delong Gum Company. And there's some Delongs I know. Actually, yesterday while driving, 2 different YouTubers called me or messaged me with advice about the Delong issue, and they were both looking at DeLong Gehrig cards. Interestingly, they were looking at different cards. But anyway, the DeLong issue were gum, and then, of course, Tattoo Orbit. And if you can look way back in my catalog, you can find one of the finest Tattoo Orbit sets out there. I think it's number 3 on the registry. But that goes back so way early 30s. Well, what about before that? Well, yes, there were gum companies. And the whole purpose of this video is me to show off a card. So I am going to be showing off a card. But we're going to go back. And the next, I think, is like 1911. And here's these fantastic diamond gum pins. how they were distributed. You know, they weren't released with gum, but these pins were from a gum company. There's an ad on the back, the Diamond Gum, and it says, get a collection of ball players buttons free with Diamond Gum. Here is a picture of the Christy Mathewson Diamond Gum pin that I owned. It's a PSA 8, and it is fantastic. Rick Vintage Oddball Cards. It's probably drooling. Rick, I no longer own this. I sold this a long, long time ago. I auctioned it, and yes, I regret it, but it is freaking fantastic. Christy Mathewson, the 1911 Diamond Gum pin. So there's some pins related to gum. Let's step back another couple of years. 1909 to 1911, the Colan's chip cards. And that's, I'll show my cards. Colan's Chips were little tins of chips of gum. I don't know a great deal about this issue, but I believe there's 3 different issues. I think there's the Stars of the Diamond, and there are the red border issues, and there was a tin for Colan's Violet Chips. So here is mine, 1909, 1911 Colan's Chips, the Ty Cobb. And these on the back, Stars of the Diamond, 1 in every 5-cent packages of Colan's Violet Chips and Mint Chips. Beware of imitation. It says the gum that's round, and there would be tins of these little chips of gum, and as a topper of the little tin would be one of these cards. So you had the cards like this. You had the red border ones that are scarcer, and there's also these square Colan's cards that are called proofs. Proof is usually something that's mid-production. Presumably they were square, they were then machine cut out into these circles to go in these tins, but I don't actually think that there's any direct evidence that these squares are actually proofs. Things tend to get called proofs that are actually hand cut, or I don't know, part of an advertisement or something else. But okay, so there's that. Anything earlier than my Colan's Chips that is gum related? Yes. Here is the 1898 Cameo Pepsin pins. Again, another pin product. These were made by the American Pepsin Gum Company in 1898. Now, surely these weren't packaged with gum. What these were is advertisement buttons for the gum. And on the back, it says it's advertising Cameo Pepsin Gum. I don't know what gum was like in the 1800s. It's evolved, obviously. I think the big revolution came with Wrigley, probably, but who knows what gum was like back then? If it resembled today's type of gum whatsoever. You chewed it, obviously, but who knows what was in it and how long it lasted and the consistency and what was actually in it. So there you go. Is that the earliest gum card or gum sports card memorabilia type item? No, it is not. My God, going back to 1888, the earliest probably e-card, food and beverage card, non-tobacco card, is the G&B chewing gum card, E223. I really know nothing about these cards, and I don't think anybody else knows much about them. I know it's not checklists at all, and I'm not sure that there's any known super duper stars in it. But here is the 1888 G&B chewing gum card. by the Green and Blackwell Company. That's what G&B stands for. On the very bottom, I don't know if you can see it, it says chewing gum. So it's not known how these were packaged. Presumably, being that this is a small little card, and back then old judges and whatnot, they were packaged with product. Presumably, these were packaged with some sort of gum product. So there it is, chewing gum, baseball-related items, cards, etc. go far back beyond your Topps and Bowman, and far back really beyond your Gaudis, Delongs, and Tattoo Orbits, and some of these real early gum issues. So the thing to do with this video is, if you don't know these issues, you get on the internet and you start reading about it. Specifically, I think I would read about the Colgan's gum chips issue. Really, really pretty portraits. They're beautiful, they're crisp, they're great images. You try to get them, sometimes they're centered extremely poorly, but it's a large checklist. You can get big time Hall of Famers with it, obviously. Semi-Hall of Fame, semi-stars, and commons that make them quite affordable and cool for your collection, right? We got to get cooler cards for our collection rather than having boxes and drawers and cabinets full of 1960s and 70s cards. Look into pre-war. Have a great rest of the weekend. I do have in my mind about doing a pre-YouTube Hall of Famer video. I'm pretty proud of my YouTube selection Hall of Fame videos. I think they're the best out there by far. But I think I'm going to do a warm-up video for how I see the YouTube Hall of Fame and what a YouTube Hall of Famer should be. So have a great rest of the weekend.